On this episode of Game Shack, I got a $25 game system from one of my daughters for Christmas, and while it's a great novelty gift, it did give me perspective on my own home arcade. I also have some Arcade1up and AtGames news and a little bit about virtual pinball, all that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I'm your host, JDV. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you had a great Christmas. I did. Got this cool little gizmo that I'm going to talk about here in a second. As always, you guys are this station's sponsors, so if you can give me a thumbs up, it really does help this channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already and hit the notification bell if you have. Okay, so yeah, I did get this kind of novelty gift from one of my daughters for Christmas. This is not really a review of it, although I think it would be a fine little thing if you had like a B&B or like an up north cabin or an RV or something that you weren't too worried about people walking away with. It comes with 2 controllers and a bunch of games, including some bangers like Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, 1941, a couple of other games that are on there. A lot of it is just weird jank that's either knockoffs or just, you know, like early 90s, like, you know, like bad PlayStation 1 type games. But what it did do is, you know, because this thing is kind of at the bottom of the barrel for 25 bucks, you know, you get the 200 games, a couple of controllers, but there are other units that you can get on Amazon and eBay that cost maybe a couple $100 that come with 28,000 games. So like all of this time magnitude of 1,000, right? And that really got me thinking about quantity versus quality in my own little home arcade. Because when you're talking about 28,000 games, you're basically talking about every game ever made all the way up to the Xbox 360, right? I mean, you're talking about where you could spend days just looking at the games, and I don't want that. It's just like having 1,000 TV channels. I hate when I'm just scrolling through and still not actually just watching some Clint Eastwood movie or something, right? So I would rather have fewer choices when I walk into my arcade, but knowing that when I flick on any one of my arcade games, bam, there's going to be an A-list game, like on my Pac-Mania game. Man, it's got Dig Dug, Pac-Man, a few other Pac-Man games, right? Galaga, Galaxian, Galaga 88, Mappy, just banger titles that you can play over and over and over again in a really nice looking cab that frankly I can beat the heck out of because I bought it for $200 used, and when it dies I'll just buy a new one. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I think less might actually be more in your home arcade. If you get the cabs that you really like in terms of their looks, and you get the game titles that you really want, then it lets you be a little bit choosier going forward. Like I really want to have that Star Wars Intron cab. And the thing that keeps me from buying it, other than that they really haven't gone down in price very much, is the fact that they don't have Wi-Fi. And that is a big deal to me. The more I use Wi-Fi games, like the ability to put high scores on that Pac-Mania cab is really awesome. The ability to play people in those side-scrolling beat-em-ups on those Street Fighter games, that is great. The ability to play Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat against people online, that is a very incredibly sweet option. The more I have of it, the more I want of it, which is why I'm excited that the 4K version of the ALU is going to have that ability. And it's also why I'm going to be holding off on buying a Star Wars Tron, because I'm pretty positive we are going to see XL versions, at least of Star Wars, and presumably you're going to be able to put your high scores online. That was a big downer, in my opinion, on that re-release of Star Wars, that they did not have Wi-Fi. A lot of people want to see that on there. Yes, it's a banger of a cab. Would I turn if I could pick it up for 300 bucks? Oh yeah, absolutely, all day long. But at $600, $500, I'll wait and see, and then maybe I'll pay my $700 or $800 sometime next August to make sure that I have a bigger version of it with Wi-Fi. At least that's the gamble, right? Speaking of Arcade1up, apparently they are not going to announce any new titles coming up in January. That means it will have been a very long time indeed between their last announcement of a game title and whenever the next one is, months and months and months. Realistically, we only saw 3 new titles come out in 2023. Everything else was a sort of a deluxeification or /XLification of existing titles, which is fine. Again, I think a lot of people want to see XL versions of Street Fighter, Star Wars, Mortal Kombat, you know, all the usual suspects. On the other hand, knowing that, it's kind of weird that Arcade1up isn't telling us that. They're not telling us that Alien vs. Predator is real. They're not telling us that Q*bert or Robotron or Smash TV is real or anything else like that. So it's a little concerning because it will have been months and months, even if they announce something on February 1st. On the other hand, like I said, if they announce a banger of a cab that we all want and love, everybody will forget about it real quick. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about that ALP 4K from AtGames, specifically the 7.1 sound in it, the SSF. I just recently got 7.1 sound working on my virtual pinball build, and boy, is it a game changer. It just makes everything feel so much more real because you can really hear the ball moving around. You can hear the different thumpers and everything. It really is an amazing experience. In some ways, dare I say, better than real pinball because you can turn up the volume to your liking, right? And so it got me excited about looking at the 7.1 sound that's in the ALP 4K. I went back and took a look at John Wagner's 7.1 video that he did about a month ago, where he goes and shows that yes, each speaker can go off independently, the thumper can go off, you got the solenoids that can go off independently. In other words, kind of everything that I have worked for almost a year straight at getting on my pinball game comes all included in that SF package if you get it installed. It's something that I really think you should buy if you're going to invest in that system, because it does help blur the line between real and virtual. It's weird how much better my virtual pinball game looks because it sounds so much better. So, and it just got me thinking, just again, $1,300 is a lot of money for those cabs, right? But on the other hand, to get something significantly better, you're looking at spending $4,500 to $5,000, or like me, putting hundreds of hours into it, and yeah, at least $2,000 to $3,000 as well. I'm really starting to look now at the higher end Arcade1up type games and like gritting my teeth and getting ready to buy them, because they really are, in a way, a bargain, because you can't find these games very rarely, you know, the original games in any kind of decent shape. Same thing with that ALP 4K and ALU 4K. I mean, if there are some banger titles on that ALU, man, that's going to be very, very attractive. Again, it's all going to come down to those titles, all right? All right, well, I hope you had a good Christmas. Hopefully I'm going to have the virtual pinball next episode up before New Year's Eve, but it might be a day or two after. So keep your eyes open for that. Love each other, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack.
Be sure to visit EvilGeniusEntertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.